Hello everyone, I'm Cassandra Donnelly from Creative Passages, and today I would like to share my collage with you called Love is Eternal. Got really inspired by Valentine's Day, of course, and so I wanted to include lots of hearts. So you're going to see the hearts that are scratched in with oil pastels and some heart shapes in my collage papers and fiber papers and materials. I added some cherry blossoms, which I made from some decorative paper, which I scanned and printed out on awagami paper and then momigammied. I used lots of mulberry paper, and so I really like the way everything combines. So you can watch me start this process from the point of the oil pastel drawing where I added the collage paper. So this is the oil pastel drawing right here, and although it's a beautiful oil pastel drawing and I really liked it, I probably should have scanned it first. I didn't, but that section on the lower left hand corner that's kind of rust colored and light peach with the holes, something about that was kind of odd, so that's what I started covering up first. So what's tricky about this is I really loved a lot of it, so I didn't want to cover up the parts that I loved of the oil pastel drawing, but on the other hand, I really just wanted to make this into a collage. Before I started this part of the collage, there was one collage piece on this oil pastel drawing. So I want to add a lot of these mulberry papers. I have a little bit of scrapbooking papers, and I also have my own cherry blossom paper, which again was from a drawing that I made on copy paper that I scanned and printed out on awagami paper and the momigammied. That's a handful to say. So for this collage, part of me is just really impulsive. Some pieces I just glue down right away, and other parts I'm a little unsure about, so I'd plan it out, just kind of sit it there and just try to assess periodically if I really want it. So right now I'm trying to just add some colors which I think would coordinate well. That white seems to stand out a little bit too much though, so the parts that seem to not fit in as far as tone goes, I do go back and paint over with the watercolors. So this is a piece of mulberry paper and I just decided to go ahead and glue it there. And now this is a piece of scrapbooking paper. It has some leaves on it. And I really liked it, but I just thought it needed to blend in a little bit better. So the question is whether or not I blend things too much. If I should have left a little bit more contrast, because I did take a lot of contrast out by the end of it, and I muted things down quite a bit. Although I really do love my end product. I'm curious as to whether or not maybe other people like some of the stages before I got to the end, because I do have a problem with overworking my art sometimes. So I would like feedback if anybody wants to give me their honest opinion. There were several parts of this I thought, oh, that looked nice, maybe I should have left it that way. But in the end, like I said, I really do like my finished product, so I don't regret anything. So this is a little butterfly, and I really wanted to use him. And I also wanted to use this little piece of beige paper that had like a little orangey line and some curves to the right with some dark blue dots. I really wanted to use that too because it kind of mimicked the hearts that I scratched into my paper. But for now, I'm a little unsure of it. So there's a lot of papers that I'm sure about, and the whole time I'm worried about maybe covering up too much of my art, because I did like my oil pastels. Like I said, I just really didn't feel settled about the oil pastel drawing in and of itself. So then, of course, when you're adding collage papers, then you've got to kind of balance things out, and once you add a few pieces, then you got to add more to try to make things look good, and it's hard to know exactly where to stop. So I really want to add this butterfly, but I'm really just not sure about him. But some pieces I am sure about, like this little piece of blue paper underneath that one beige or brownish paper. So now I'm going to add more of the cherry blossoms. They're not exactly like cherry blossoms, they're close, because I wasn't looking at a cherry blossom tree when I made it. The petals are slightly different than that. But I really do like the paper I made, so I'm probably going to use it on lots of projects. Just cool, you know, I've just discovered how to make printables and incorporate that into my art. So this is some mulberry paper. It looks sort of orangey yellow, but it seemed like in person it was more of a peach color. So I'm just having some tea. So I really do like the peach paper. And this is more of the mulberry paper that has some lacy holes in there, but it's a little too white. So I want, oh no, I take that back. That is a scrapbooking paper. I'm narrating this as I look, but the screen is not full size, so it's a little hard to see even with my glasses on. But anyway, so I painted that piece of scrapbooking paper there. It has little leaves, and I decided it needed to fit in just a little bit better. I debated on that piece, but I really liked it, so I decided to go ahead and add it. But the part I don't want to cover up is all those little hearts. Those little hearts that curl inward that I scratch into the oil pastels with, that was inspired by this little plant that I had maybe 15 years ago that kind of split into, it was a little shoot and the two ends curled up to meet in the middle like a little heart, just like that. And I decided I want to make that my logo, part of my logo. So I decided that, like, back then, 15 years ago, I just never really actually made a logo yet. But I think I actually have one, so you'll hopefully see it. So now I want to add some stencils and some pan pastels through the stencil. And this heart shape is kind of similar to the other heart shapes. And I took a real risk in adding this because, of course, you know, I love the other parts and I wasn't sure if I should cover it over or not. And so I'm kind of peeking to see if I'm adding some color because I want to see it, but I don't want it to be so strong and powerful that it takes away from the other things I've already added. So I'm trying to get just the right color for this. And I do kind of cover over part of this later on so that you can't really see it. It was really subtle. It was pretty. But the other papers were calling out to me, and so that's kind of the way it is with art. Sometimes you make things and then you cover it up, and it's all kind of this give and take of adding and taking away, adding and taking away, till you get the perfect balance of what you like. So I'm not settled yet. Like, I keep working and working until I feel settled with it, until I like it. And sometimes, you know, like I said, I do overwork things, but in the end, I do like what I made, and I'm curious if you like the end result better than some of these stages in the middle, or the original oil pastel drawing, which in retrospect, I wish I would have scanned. So this was the purple mulberry paper, and it kind of had a shape of a flower in it, which I really liked. So here I'm debating about adding a hydrangea plant that I dried out, but I decided against it because I already have the cherry blossoms there and I don't think I need it. And I've never really incorporated the dried flower in the art, so I don't know how it will hold up long range. So instead I'm going to add more of the cherry blossoms. The question is how many cherry blossoms to add to this. So right now it's like it's not balanced. I didn't want them to be a focal point. I didn't want to overdo it. So that's a material that I found that also has that little heart pattern, and so I want to incorporate that fuchsia piece off to the right, but at this point I don't really know how. But I actually do end up cutting some of those hearts out and gluing them down. So in the end, I think I did add the right amount of cherry blossoms. I don't think I overdid it too much. I mean, at least I like it. So this is something maybe I could later turn into a card. You know, I did scan it. maybe put it in my journal. It's slightly bigger than my journal pages. I think it's like, it was half of a 9x12 paper. So I guess it would be 4.5x6 would be the size of it, if I'm not mistaken. Something close to that anyway. So now what I'm doing, you missed part of this process because my phone died, but you didn't miss that much. I just added some more paper, but this is a little heart that I wanted to add of my own painted paper. It was like a turquoise and magenta color, but I also wanted to add some of the fiber paper on top of it. And so I cut them both out together, and I'm going to glue it together, but I also wanted to ink the edges to make it stand out a little bit. So I inked it with that red Distress ink right there. So I'm putting that one down, and that's the second one actually. The other one, I think maybe you didn't see me make the other one, but you saw me make this one. So I'm outlining it with a water soluble pencil, and I'm going to go back over it with some water just to kind of make it stand out a little bit more, create a shadow. But it seems like it's just kind of too much of a focal point, like it's standing out too much. So what I decided to do is maybe go over the edge with black oil pastel and create a little border. And I think that really is complementary to artwork, especially if you have bright colors or anything. It just makes it look nice, in my opinion. So I do sometimes include that black border, especially over oil pastel drawings. So now I want to do some kind of theme related to love. And I didn't actually plan this out a whole lot. I just like, what can I say about love? Okay, love is eternal. So that's what I decided to go with. And at first I was going to use that red paper, but then I thought that would jump out too much and not be balanced with the rest of the composition. So I decided to go with the peach one. And then instead I'll just add a little bit of red ink to the edges, but I still think it makes it kind of jump out a bit. So later I decide I should go back over with black. And she'll see me do that, but I decided to go with love is eternal as a theme, and I was really thinking about God's love, like God's love is eternal. And after I came up with the quote, love is eternal, I thought, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then I thought, God is love. And then also, not only is God is love, but His Word endures forever. So His love endures forever. So love is eternal. And so you could say this was a worship piece, because as I was making this, I really was contemplating on how thankful I am to have God in my life. And I'm so thankful that He's shown me so much favor and grace throughout my life, and He's brought such healing to me. And without that healing, my life would be a completely different story. And so sometimes I feel like I don't even deserve, of course, none of us deserve His grace and His mercy, but it's just unbelievable to me, and it's constant. And even though life can be hard sometimes, life is still hard. I'm still going through some hardships. Like my grandson, who was just born with Down syndrome, is still going through the hardships. And it's scary, It's really scary. But I know that not only is the Lord there with me, which was my previous posting, but His love is eternal. And that love it heals you, it sets you free, and it makes the world a beautiful place. And anything that's ugly that pops into your life, God can transform it and work it out for the good. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but I think about that, and I do get emotional because God's love is what sustains me in this life. So I'm adding some blue dots to this because there was blue dots in that little brown piece of paper that I liked. And so I'm just trying to play on, some of the composition, like the lines and in this images and kind of bring them to other places. So this is the part where I think it needs a little bit more black ink around the love is eternal. And I added some flowers in between the hearts and the words love is eternal to kind of just make everything cohesive as a focal point. But I decided the pink didn't stand out enough. It needed some little purple to kind of tie in the other bits of purple that I see in the collage there. And then when I added the black ink to the love is eternal, it seemed to make the cherry blossom there turn a little bit grayish. So I'm making it more pink again. And then I decide that the center needs to be more red, and there's not a good red in that watercolor set. So rather than look for another watercolor set, I'm just using this distress ink that has a nice little red, and I decided all of the cherry blossoms need a little bit more pop with that red in there. So that is what I'm doing now. And this is the final product. Love is eternal. And I am pleased with it. I like it. Like I said, I think this would make a good card to send to somebody, and maybe I can try to fit in my journal. So I just love all the texture you can see here, and the flowers and the cherry blossoms. It all looks beautiful, and the hearts that I scratched in there. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and also share it. And I would especially like feedback. You can tell me what you think. If you think I overdid it, which I sometimes do. If you liked it, that final product more than some of the middle stages or what I started out with, so just let me know. And you guys have a blessed day, all right? Bye.